Now, I'm obviously well in the frame here because they've stitched me right up. A judge has ruled that calling women hun or love is an insult.
Yeah, I mean, really quickly
I
on
called
that,
somebody
Rosie.
sweetheart and darling today, so I'm stuffed.
Well, yeah, that's it. You're cancelled now, aren't you?
Yeah,
Again,
well,
you're cancelled
all
again.
right, don't
Um,
start.
I think really quickly on that, on the Rosie Duffield point that you've just raised, my problem is that when women like J.K. Rowling, who've gone through experiences with domestic abuse in the past, can't say, actually, I'm really worried about men gaining access to sex segregated spaces just by being able to say, well, actually, this week I'm Darren, next week I'm going to be Doreen, and I demand access to a women's only refuge. When women can't voice those concerns, when women genuinely feel, Jeremy, too afraid in Britain in 2021 to say, hang on a minute, I think that we're going down a pretty dangerous road here. Yes, trans people should receive respect in law and in wider society, but that's not the same as saying that anyone who identifies, I was about to say any Tom, Dick or Harry, but quite literally, who identifies as whatever, gets into a women's only space, that's where we start to have problems, in my view, right? So it's not any issue around saying that, oh, well, trans people don't have an absolute right to dress how they want, to call themselves whatever they want. Absolutely. I do not mind that whatsoever. I do worry when MPs are having to be escorted around a party conference.
Completely agree. So, first of all, I'd obviously like to apologise to a caller who I called sweetie and darling. I'll tell you where I stand on this judge ruling that calling women hun or love is an insult. It's all right to call a bloke lad or mate, by the way, apparently. Just thought I'd drop that in. Apparently, that's fine. All right, mate? Yeah, you're fine. Don't call me. I think, right, here we go again. I think that if you say something to somebody that they find disrespectful or they find upsetting, you say to them, do you mind not doing that? And then you stop doing it. But no, that doesn't happen anymore, does it? You've called me this, you absolute waste of space. You shouldn't live in this world. Just go and stick yourself to the M25. No, we've gone mad. I mean, you can't say anything, can you? I don't mean to disrespect somebody. I mean, all right, love, I don't know. No, I'm being serious. I don't know.
I agree with you. It's this sort of arrogance that suggests that because my feelings are more important than yours, because how you have made me feel is the only thing that matters. Feelings come over facts and all the rest of it. And actually saying to people, and I've heard that about MPs, that, by the way, that won't hire female staff altogether now because they're so terrified of saying the wrong thing and ending up facing the wrath.
Do you not think that anybody nowadays seems to be frightened of saying the wrong thing to anybody about absolutely anything?
Definitely. When you've got people from Asda losing their jobs, for example, there was that controversy over sharing a Billy Connolly sketch because that caused offence. And I just think that we're agreed, right, that as far as the women in the workplace, they deserve to be treated and respected just as much as the male colleagues at the office.
Absolutely.
But the idea that calling someone love or hun is any more acceptable than mate or lad, I think is a nonsense.
But what about what I said at the beginning? What about I've made an unthoughtful comment or I've made a mistake? What about tell me off? I'll apologise. We'll move on. It's almost like, to me, people are searching for reasons to
be offended,
to be offended, to finish it. I'm not talking about being on the radio, being on the telly. I know so many people who are too scared. Let me just finish by telling you this story about my dad, because I've always used my dad as a yardstick. I'm just going to throw this out there for the dear 14 listeners. We're doing quite well. Tell me what you think of this. My old man, before he retired, he worked for the royal family. I talk about him a lot. He was 61 years of age, and he used to come up on the train to London. He'd get the Bakerloo line to Green Park and walk down Milkmaid's Passage, going to St Clarence House, right? He said to me in tears in the last week of his professional career after 40 years, he got on the tube and a lady got on. Am I allowed to say lady, woman, young woman? I've got no idea. She was pregnant and she had a baby. She was carrying a baby and she was pregnant. He jumped up. He said, would you like my seat? She turned around in front of the whole carriage and said, you sexist old man, what right do you have to think that I'm not strong enough to stand on my feet? And he came and he told me in tears, I was just doing what I'd been brought up to believe was right. But she was saying that I made her look weak. I just think it was an old man being decent. I can see both sides. But that's where the world's gone. Last thing he said to me is, I'm out of here. The world's gone nuts. Grimester, you're a legend. Thank you for your input. We'll have you again very soon, I promise. 6:15, drive time on Talk Radio. My name's Jeremy Kyle. We're back in 3 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Right back.